Hello everybody, welcome to Taylor Fleming Music. I'm Taylor Fleming, and this is Tailored Tuesday. These lessons are tailored towards anybody who wants to become a better musician. The topics range from beginner to advanced, but my goal is that anyone watching, no matter what level, will learn something new about music. Today, we're going to be talking about the Kenny Barron Voicing, a beautiful and elegant voicing made famous by jazz pianist Kenny Barron. This is going to be a comprehensive guide that will go over how to practice and use the Kenny Barron Voicing in almost any situation, like this. I actually first learned about the Kenny Barron Voicing my first semester at Berklee from a trumpet player named Locky Day, and then again later by a great Spanish pianist named Polo Ordi, and he showed me a lot of what I'm going to be showing you here today. The first half of this video is going to be different approaches to practicing and understanding the Kenny Barron Voicing. The second half of the video will be those more advanced topics, and we'll be covering tonal application, practical uses, chord progressions. So let's go over to the piano. Okay, so the first part of this video is going to be me showing you a system on how to become super comfortable with the Kenny Barron Voicing, but I'll put the timestamps in the description below so that you can skip ahead to the super fun stuff. Although I do recommend watching the first half of the video so that you can learn how to be more comfortable with this voicing. But how do you build the Kenny Barron Voicing? Well, it's built by stacking 2/5 in the left hand and 2/5 in the right hand. Both set of fifths are separated by a second. Fifth, fifth, second, fifth, fifth. Now the Kenny Barron Voicing works very well as a major chord, but it's most often used as a minor chord. Now the minor chord is built in very much the same way, but the only difference is that both hands are separated by a minor second. Now our goal is to do this. And you're going to need to know both the major and the minor qualities of the Kenny Barron Voicing to do it. Major, minor, major, minor. The left hand always stays the same. Now one thing about the Kenny Barron Voicing is that you need bigger hands to play it. No worries, here is an alternate voicing that is just as effective but will allow smaller hands to play it. And let me just be clear that this alternate voicing becomes very important whenever we want to harmonize with 7 in the melody. So here is the Kenny Barron Voicing in major and minor. Here we have flat 7 in the melody. So why does the Kenny Barron Voicing sound somehow so open but so dense? If we look at it, we can see that the Kenny Barron Voicing has almost every tension available, except for the 13, right? So we have our 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and sharp 11. And when we make it into a closed voicing, we can see all that. Very jazzy. But the beauty of this voicing is that it took this dense harmonic structure and completely opens it up, making it sound wide and full. Now this might be the part that you want to skip, but right now I'm going to show you various ways of practicing the Kenny Barron Voicing so that you can be comfortable with the more advanced applications. But if you still want to skip ahead, go to around 7 minutes and 30 seconds, and that's when we're going to look at like the truly amazing things this voicing can do. If you have another way of practicing these voicings that you don't see here, leave a comment below and let me know your creative ways of practicing this Kenny Barron Voicing. And as always, if you're getting value from this video, if you're learning something new, if you're enjoying it, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It would be a cool thing for you to do. And moving it chromatically across the keyboard. We're doing this in both major and minor, right? And so this really helps us to get an eye and an ear for what's going on with the Kenny Barron Voicing. After doing it chromatically, we go on and do it in whole steps. Then, after whole steps, we do it in minor thirds. And I have to say, the end goal here is to be able to use the Kenny Barron voicings in beautiful and musical ways. This becomes possible and even effortless after we've practiced and know very well how to play this voicing from any scale degree in any quality. Now we're practicing the Kenny Barron voicing in major thirds with a major 7 tonality. And now we're going to do the same thing in a minor 7 tonality. Again, our goal is to make this automatic. Okay, now I know I said those were all very important, but this one is particularly important. Now we're going to move the Kenny Barron voicing up perfect fourths. Now, harmony that moves up in fourths, I can't actually stress how common this is and how frequently it happens. Tonal music as we know it has been doing this for hundreds of years. So this happens to be a movement that you'll find in most of the music that you play, unless you like to play a lot of John Cage or John Zorn. So with that said, I cannot stress the importance of practicing this voicing and many other voicings in ascending fourths. A useful musical factoid is that an ascending fourth is the same thing as a descending fifth. They are essentially inversions of each other. Okay, so now we're going to look at this voicing as it might be used ascending in perfect fourths. The perfect opportunity to use something like this is in a minor blues. Now, I'm not going to play a blues form right now, but I will show you what it's like to go from 1 to 4. Okay, you made it. So now we're going to talk about the practical and musical applications of the Kenny Barron voicing. I'm going to show you how to do this movement that I just played. I'm about to show you the system to use so that this becomes super intuitive and very easy to conceptualize. The first part of it is thinking about the 1 minor chord moving to the flat 6 major chord. Okay? And the first movement will be down a major third. Consequently, we'll have another movement down a third, but this time a minor third, right? So the main thing to keep in mind is that we're alternating between a minor chord, a major chord, and that sequence is just going to continue. It's that simple, but we're going to go all the way down the keyboard. Here we go. Down a major third, down a minor third, down a major third, down a minor third, down a major third, down a minor third. And it's starting to get a little muddy down here, so we have to move it all the way back up the keyboard. Now what I'm showing you is how to practice this in every single key. So what we do is we go all the way back up the keyboard with the last chord that we played and move back down using the same system. When the voicing inevitably starts to become muddy, you take that same chord and start from the top. Right? So this B minor is getting pretty muddy. So we're going to go back to the top and start with the B minor again. And again, this way, we're practicing in every single key in a super musical way. Now, it's robotic in a way, but this is absolutely necessary for doing the more advanced movements with the Kenny Barron voicing. So this is me. I seem to have stumbled, and I'm trying to find my place again. There we go. And we're home. 3 times through the cycle, and that lands us back at C minor. Okay, here's the second step. This is where all the flavor is. You do the same movement from step 1, but this time, the melody is moving down in whole steps. Try to go very slowly through the second step, being as accurate as possible. Although this movement becomes very intuitive, it is easy to make mistakes at first. So if you play guitar, bass or another chordal instrument, try this out and please let me know how this works out for you. I know it's completely doable on open strings, but I really challenge a guitar player to be able to do this across the fretboard. Alright, so now let's look at how to use this modally. We're going to analyze some of these movements. Now we're creating movement by using tonic function chords, and then cascading down, moving through multiple modes of G minor. That cascading sequence uses chords from G Dorian, G Aeolian, and G Phrygian. We call this modal interchange. And if this is going too fast, you can always slow down the video or just pause it. Okay, now we're moving on to very practical uses of the Kenny Barron Voicing, chord progressions. I'll demonstrate this using the tune Stella by Starlight. Just like I'm doing here, anytime you see an 11 in the melody, you can harmonize it with the Kenny Barron Voicing. When you see a 7 in the melody, you can use alternate voicing 1 that we covered earlier in this video. Now let's look at a classic 2-5-1 progression. Here's our basic 2-5-1, simple, a little embellished, pretty enough. But here it is with the Kenny Barron Voicing. To me, this is a richer, more dense sound. And the thing about the Kenny Barron Voicing is that there's not really a good way to build it with a dominant chord. So for the 5 chord, you have a lot of options as to what you play. As long as the voice leading is nice, you could probably use just about any type of dominant 7 chord. Here, I'm choosing to use dominant 7, flat 9, 13. But my 2 chord and my 1 chord are both voiced in the Kenny Barron Voicing. Now here's another favorite progression. So this is 1 minor 7, going to flat 2 major 7. And again, this is a form of modal interchange. That flat 2 major 7 chord is coming from C Phrygian. Don't worry if you don't know what that means. I have lots of topics that I want to cover in future videos, and modal interchange is one of them. This progression is very beautiful, very meditative, and actually fairly common. Okay, that's enough messing around. So that is basically it. You can take this voicing, and once you understand it and know it well enough, once you've mastered enough movements, you can really move it around any way you'd like. You have so many options, and it sounds good in about every situation. And one thing I find true about learning music is that when you find a way to make something personal, when you find a way to make the Kenny Barron Voicing something that resonates with you, it is the quickest way to learning and understanding it. And at the end of the day, music is something that is extremely personal. And if you find something that resonates with you, I'm willing to bet it'll resonate with somebody else too. And as always, if you got value out of today's video, if you learned something new, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Peace.